Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pokemon Legends Arceus. Forgive the lack of second area in this game. We'll be doing the last little bits of the first area and catching some side quest mon. Yay! Like a
Oh
certain shiny
man,
Ponyta.
game says, "Oh, you should definitely go to the new area." Me, I have not finished the first area yet. You're gonna wait another 4 hours.
Exactly. Oh, you saw? I have no idea. You have no idea how many streamers I saw do that.
Also, me, why is the second area so easy? I'm way over leveled for everything here. That is actually a problem that I find myself running into a lot as I grow older, and I value like being thorough with my games, and I find it really hard to skip stuff. It's just not like the way I want to play really anymore. And so I find that as I get into the mid game of anything, I vastly like am outpowering anything that I come across.
Okay, so raise Pikachu bodied yours pretty hard there, and you're a
and you're
wait.
bringing out the flying type. Sure, that is a
I'm
choice.
9 levels higher and using a stat move.
Oh,
Oh right, I forgot that'll do it. Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. We can. Ryan's ridicule has been revoked.
I was just gonna say, wait, bird, Pikachu, bird. That's a real Ash tier move, but it turned out to be a real Red tier move.
You've discovered a new recipe.
I mean, here's the thing: Ash can send out the Pikachu against Pokemon Pikachu is stronger than, and the Pikachu will still lose. There's like a scene from the Gen 5 anime where it loses to Oshawott, I think.
Okay, like one of the first things he does in the anime is try to fight a Pidgey with a fucking Caterpie, and it's like,
Well, okay. In his defense, that's like literally like the first 10 minutes he's a trainer. So,
yeah,
the fact that he would still be, the fact that he's still learning things in like the Kanto season, I forgive, because he literally is just learning about this
One
shit.
of the first things they show him doing is geeking out over Pokemon battles on television. He should have seen this kind of basic stuff through osmosis, but because he's an anime protagonist, he has to be a fucking idiot. So
Yeah, that is a thing that I find frustrating is that so many shonen protagonists in particular are like dumb, but it's like it's okay because I'll just win anyway. Like I don't have to be smart or try hard. I can just be talented and I win.
well, I mean, sometimes that dynamic works when the balance is right. Like one of the things that I really like about Naruto as a character is that he's a loudmouth social dimwit who has no friends, and the fact that he has no friends is part of why he's a social dimwit. But he's actually really cunning when he needs to be and comes up with clever plans, or at least he does until the series dissolves into shonen flashy flash power fantasy nonsense. But early on, when the combat was more tactical, he was pretty cunning, and that was entertaining. It was a good dynamic for a main character. But like, fast forward to Dragon Ball Super, and it's
Goku got
like,
even dumber.
he got even dumber than he started as, and that was impressive. But like, he's also in the process of relearning all the lessons he learned over the course of the last 2 shows, and that's just like, how do you? What?
Yeah, it's just so many rival characters in anime are like, oh, I train so hard and I study so much, and they're supposed to be like the ones you're rooting against, like the ones who put hard work and application into what they're doing, and I'm just kind of like raising my eyebrow a little bit at that.
Oh, because they don't have heart, Ted. Heart is the important thing.
Oh yeah, they definitely don't care about what they're doing when they spend 6 hours a night studying their craft. I'm sorry. I can't believe it.
Well, in any case, my point is though that like making the main character fuck up is, a thing that can add texture to them. Because, if the character is just going to make the correct decisions all the time, it never really feels like they're going to lose.
Yeah,
But
so, I mean, that's definitely not a problem that the Pokemon anime had specifically, because Ash loses all the time. So, him being unbeatable and it feeling, kind of cheap, that was more of a, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX kind of thing, where it's just like...
Ooh, Alpha Pikachu.
You can find an alpha version of every Pokemon in the game, and I just find it funny where you'll just see, like, it's just like Alpha Pichu, and it's just like, oh, you trying to be big and scary. It's adorable.
like that kid from Jurassic World.
And I caught it. Yay. So we'll be using that Pikachu instead of the one we have.
Wait, did another one just spawn in immediately?
Yeah,
Yes,
these are the outbreaks where you can get a lot of a Pokemon of a specific type.
Oh, I see.
I think there's like some method of manipulating it, so that's where how you shiny hunt too, but I don't remember how you're specifically supposed to do it. Oh, speaking of, we just got that quest. Ooh.
But like as a blue Ponyta.
Yep, so now Ponyta is on the same level as Red Gyarados, where everyone has one.
Yeah. Oh, and now it disappeared. That's great.
Draw distance. No, it's just way over there.
I mean, when it comes to freebie shinies, I think Ponyta is one of the best ones to give though, because that's a fucking sick ass shiny.
And then it turns gray when it's Rapidash, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, but Blue Flame's a real thing, and that's just really cool.
It actually makes it seem like the blue Ponyta is like stronger than the original Ponyta because they burn hotter,
Yeah.
But like, okay, my problem with Ash, to get back to that, isn't necessarily that he has his stupid moments. It's that he's unfailingly idiotic with no visible growth for such a long time that it becomes almost impossible to see him as a viable champion, even though that's his goal, right?
Yeah, it's part of the problem with it being a slice of life cartoon as well as like an overarching shonen anime. It's like it's one of those things that's hard to have your cake and eat it too. Like nobody, like just to make an example, nobody complains that Johnny Bravo doesn't have character growth because it's not that kind of cartoon, He's a static character versus like in an anime like this, you expect character growth because it's an overarching plot.
Well, it's more that like the goalpost that Ash himself places for his own character growth is his, I'm gonna be the best thing. But he never makes substantial progress toward being the best, and he never makes peace with the fact that he's not making substantial progress toward being the best, which could have been an interesting character arc in itself.
Yeah, but they're just not interested in having a character arc with Ash for a long time. They're just interested in regressing him back to where he was at the beginning so that we can repeat the same arc for each region he goes to.
Yeah. Seriously, it's like Dragon Ball Super, except he never got good in the first place. So, what the hell?
I mean, they did finally ditch Protags after 8 seasons, or more technically. They do have new.
What the?
Speaking of Alpha Pichu,
like I was telling you, it's just like look, it's like the scary. It's like trying to put scary anime like fire eyes onto like a goldfish. It's like, oh, you're trying to be cute, and it's like threatening, and it's adorable.
It's PICHU.EXE.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Has the new Pokemon anime with the new Protag started yet, or no?
I am not sure. I don't pay attention to the anime.
Yeah, so like, I think that I'm wondering what the reception to that will be, like in terms of like watch statistics. I think ultimately like people will watch
I don't think
it
it's
no
gonna.
matter what.
I was gonna say it's Pokemon. People will watch it regardless.
Well,
yeah,
it's
but
interesting the direction they're going with because they're not quite doing what Ash did, which was to try and replicate the game protagonist. They're actually doing a separate thing.
Well, I think that's a good thing. Like it's not like back in the 90s, the Pokemon stories could only be told so much in the games themselves because it's an 8-bit game, you know. A lot is left to the imagination. So they use the anime to try to kind of show us what we think the game story is like on the TV. Versus now we have games where you don't need to use your imagination as much. So
Well, it'd be nice if we had like voice acting and stuff, but
yeah, you can instead expand the universe in different ways and show different you can show the elements of life in the Pokemon world that you don't see in the games, which is part of what made stuff like Detective Pikachu engaging. You know, because you don't typically see much of what like the average businessman in the Pokemon world like deals with. So
Yeah, that stuff's really interesting. It's like nine tenths of the reason people wanted an open world Pokemon game in the first place, because the kind of stuff you saw Ash getting up to, minus his very frequent bouts of absolute unforgivable idiocy, is the kind of stuff you're getting up to in this game.
yeah,
Like decades later.
honestly, yeah, kind of like the side quests and whatnot are kind of like, you know, because there would always be like an episode where it's just like, oh, this is the episode about Ponyta, and then you know you have like a little, you know, in the anime he's riding the Ponyta in a race, and in this game it's like, oh, you're finding about the special different colored Ponyta, or
Well, I'm talking more on a fundamental level. The Pokemon anime opened up very unapologetically on the wilderness adventure aspect, to the point where like the entire beginning story arc where Ash and Pikachu, you know, come to understand each other, it involves, you know, some real Legends Arceus shit with a flock of Spearows, and like Ash and Pikachu get tossed around like ragdolls in that mess. And there's this whole chase, and like the idea of Pokemon living out in the wilderness and having their animal behavior quirks and being potentially aggressive toward humans is one that appeared in the anime, but didn't really get a chance to show itself in game until this entry. And
I mean, I guess that's what the tall grass is supposed to symbolize in at least the old games, but it feels very game-like, and it's hard to make that connection unless you really use your imagination.
like the only nod the game makes to it is when you walk into the tall grass for the first time at the beginning. Professor Oak is like, "No, that's not safe. You need a Pokemon of your own." And then, like in Gen 3, where where the professor there is being chased by a Pokemon and you have to rescue him. But like it's kind of brushed under the rug after that.
Yeah, you
So-
don't really... I mean, that's also sort of a thing that some other games kind of struggle with. This is a thing I noticed in Shin Megami Tensei a lot, in that in those games, if you look at the stories, you can often feel like there's a bias against, like, if you're looking at the stories just as is in Shin Megami Tensei, you can sometimes feel like, man, Atlas thinks Chaos is way better than Law, because, like, the actions of the Law characters feel so much more extreme in comparison to the actions of the Chaos. Oh my god, Typhlosion looks like such a stoner in this game. I hate it.
Well, I like this Typhlosion better than the original Typhlosion, to be honest.
I mean, Fire Ghost is a cool type combination, but I hate that he looks like a stoner. Typhlosion's my favorite Pokemon, so I think any change I probably wouldn't have liked.
I can't
but
stand Typhlosion.
Lewis, we're gonna need to fight.
I love Cyndaquil. I hate its evolutions.
I
just
mean,
do
I'm not a
like the look
huge
of them.
Quilava fan. I do like Decidueye's new evolution here with like the autumn color scheme, because I think Decidueye's fighting grass.
yeah, grass
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah, which that's cool. I forget what
Has a frickin' samurai look to him.
It is
I-
a samurai, yes.
I forget what Samurott looks like.
Water dark.
Water dark. Okay, I forget its design. Though, so we'll see
We'll
that
see that in
once
just a second.
Yeah. Predictably, the starters in this game OP as hell. They always are, but you know, in case you needed that reminder, yeah, they're pretty damn. I also like that they did Fighting Dark Ghost, which is also a triangle like water, grass, fire. That's a neat little detail that I liked.
It really doesn't look much different.
Yeah, Samurot's fine. It's like, it's like just kind of darker color scheme. But yeah, no, I do not care for Hisui and Typhlosion. He looks like he's high off his ass, and I'm not a fan.
And we're getting our Alpha Raichu. Huzzah.
All right, the point I was trying to make. Anyway, in Shin Megami Tensei, you might think, oh, the Atlas hates Law because the Law characters always take these super extreme decisions and whatnot. Like, oh, we're going to nuke Japan. And it's just like, wow, Atlas thinks these guys are dicks. And you might think that in the Chaos, like, figureheads are often just reacting to what the Law characters are doing. But you also have to remember that part of the element of Chaos in Shin Megami Tensei is the fact that literally demons are attacking you every 5 steps. But since that's a gameplay element and not a story element, it's sometimes hard to make that connection.
Oh.
Which is what I was connecting to here when we were talking about the wild grass. If something is too much of a gameplay thing, sometimes it's hard to detach it from, oh, this is just an element of the gameplay. Whereas in story, yeah, the fact that Pokemon in the grass are leaping at you and trying to kill you, yeah, that is somewhat hostile.